I think one of the things that makes WPA different is that they actually do get to know the supporters. And one great example of that was when Jeremy Denk came in town to play the Ligeti Etudes. On the day of the concert, the programming director gave me a call and said, Jeremy Denk needs a page turner, can you do it? And my initial reaction to that was, I'm aware, having gone to music school, that there are professional page turners. There are people who do this and who really know how to do it well. And my immediate answer was, I don't know. I mean, I've never done it. And she'd mentioned that she'd called around to a lot of different page turners, and as soon as they found out it was for the Ligeti Etudes, they just refused to do it. They couldn't do it. So I agreed to do it. I actually kind of sensed that Jeremy Denk was a little apprehensive about the fact that he had a page turner who wasn't really a page turner for pieces that were particularly difficult. To put into context, the Ligeti Etudes, when Jeremy Denk was in town for this concert, he was also being interviewed for a national broadcast, radio broadcast. And the interviewer, when they were playing different clips of the Ligeti Etudes, the interviewer said, I've studied a little bit of piano when I was a child and can read a little bit of basic sheet music, but when I listen to these, I wonder what they look like on the page. It must, how do you even follow it? And Jeremy Denk kind of laughed and said, that's, an interesting question, because he said that when he was editing the album as they were recording it, in the editing booth, he was following himself with the score, and he said, I couldn't follow myself on the score because I kept getting lost. So that kind of explains how, when you look at the Ligeti Etudes on paper, it just looks like chaos, and knowing when and where to turn the page is anything but straightforward. So needless to say, when he was very apprehensive about whether or not somebody who hadn't turned pages could do this. So to put him at ease, I asked him which edition of the Etudes he was using, and pointed out that it was the same edition that I owned, and the ones that I referred to when I was studying composition with Ligeti. So immediately he was just like, oh, this is not somebody who has no idea what he's going to be seeing on the page. But nonetheless, when I walked out on stage, my heart was pounding at 1,000 beats a minute. So I had no idea whether I would be able to make it through to the end, because the Ligeti Etudes do look like a mess on the page. And I just, he started playing, and it was just 100% concentration. It was just very nerve-wracking. It was like being in battle. Everything just happening so fast, and having to just keep your eye on where things were going and pay very, very close attention. But when I turned the page and saw the double bar, the feeling of relief that came over me was just amazing, and I was very happy that I managed to make it through. But I think this story is interesting because what makes being a supporter of WPA different is that it is a bit. I've heard people here and fellow supporters say this. This is a bit like being a part of a family, and a family. We rely on WPA to give us top quality concerts year round, but WPA relies on us as well in many different ways when they get to know us, and this is one example of how, because they knew that I had played a little keyboard, that I might be able to help out in this particular occasion.